When you see your boy the Grizz, you know what it is, what it do, what it is. Yes, 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 it is Friday, and I am your boy Dakota Griswold, the Grizz. Welcome back to Yesterday Today. This, of course, is the show where we bring you some of the biggest gaming news you may have missed from yesterday today. And hey, Dead Space reviews are out, and we got some stuff. Ubisoft is, of course, working on more stuff, but they just had bad news last week, but they seem to be, maybe not learn from their lesson. But let's get right into this. All right, so y'all know me. I ain't even mentioned it earlier this week on the channel. I'm a huge wrestling fan, and me being a huge wrestling fan, I know exactly who Kenny Omega is. And some of y'all who might be watching this channel might know who Kenny Omega is. Kenny Omega, probably the greatest wrestler of our time, and he also speaks Japanese, so they love him over there in Japan, where he basically developed his career over there in New Japan and all in Japan, all through Japan. But now, given the fact that he respects the Japanese culture so much, and the fact that he plays video games so much, he's appearing in the next Yakuza game, also known as Like a Dragon Ishin, and he will be a card in a special attack, as well as Raul Coley from the movie Midnight Mass. But Kenny Omega had an interview with IGN, and they got some information. And Rebecca Valentine, so it says, if you somehow thought the Like a Dragon, formerly Yakuza, series wasn't over the top enough already, a new addition to the upcoming remake of Like a Dragon Ishin might just turn the tables or flip them. Developer Ryu Gotaku studied has revealed that wrestler Kenny Omega will be making a cameo appearance in Ishin as a summonable character to aid in battle, complete with a wondrous, wow, these words together, man, with a wondrous crossover of a move, the One-Winged Angel. He'll be joined by Midnight Mass star Raul Coley. Now, like I said, I'm a big Kenny Omega fan, and the One-Winged Angel is one of his special moves, and it's one of the dopest moves. And in fact, at Japan's biggest event, the Tokyo Dome, their equivalent to WrestleMania, well, Kenny Omega came out dressed as Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII, and Kenny Omega makes fire entrances. Him and the Young Bucks came out as Akuma and Ryu and Ken in the early days of AEW, and I absolutely love it. So let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Are you going to play this? I know I am. I'm definitely going to play this, because if you got hack and slasher, I'm down. But then they also got the blickies, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, and Kenny Omega's in it? Yeah, I'm really interested. Kenny Omega is not the only person that's going to be in 2 different games this year. While Kenny Omega is making a guest appearance in Like a Dragon Ishin, he will be in the inevitable release of AEW Fight Forever. And then, what's also funny is that Cody Rhodes will be in AEW Fight Forever too. They said he's still going to be in there. So now he's getting ready to be in WWE 2K23 in March, and I think that's really interesting. And I don't know how many people have done something like that. I mean, when's the last time we got wrestling video games from 2 organizations at the same time? It's been a while, right? I mean, we got Fire Pro Wrestling, but that wasn't as popular as what Fight Forever might be, given the fact that Fight Forever is supposed to be kind of a spiritual successor in a sense of No Mercy. So I'm really excited about this, and I'm interested in this. Are y'all interested in this? Let me know down in the comments below. There's no doubt that Horizon is a successful franchise, but is it a big franchise? Well, going forward, plans from PlayStation appears that they do plan on it being a huge deal. I mean, we got the VR game coming out when the PSVR drops next month, and of course we got 2 Horizon games, and then we got multiplayer games and stuff like that coming along. So Guerrilla Games now has a co-development studio with Studio Gobo, and they announced on Twitter yesterday, we're thrilled to share that Studio Gobo is now a Guerrilla co-development partner on the Horizon universe. We're currently filling roles on this and other teams. See our positions. And so now this is honestly awesome, because Studio Gobo also helped co-develop Hogwarts Legacy, Redfall, and other games. And so this is really interested in seeing where this is going. I'm really interested in seeing how far they're going to take Horizon. I'm eventually going to get the PSVR too, but it's not calling me right now. So I'm going to eventually get it, and I'm going to play Horizon Call of the Mountain, and I can't wait to see what that's like. But also, we're going to hear about it on reviews when everything comes out. So I'm really excited about this and the future Horizon. Horizon for me is always one of those games that's great, but it just never sticks for me. I don't know what it is, and it's just, I like the gameplay, I like the moment-to-moment gameplay, but the story just never really pulled me in. Maybe in the first one toward the end, and the second one is a little bit more interesting, and maybe I'll eventually go back to it. But yeah, let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments below, though. Are you excited? Are you a Horizon fan? Are you excited about them having, basically expanding and getting some help and working on games in the future? Alright, so last week, Ubisoft put out this email, well, I should say Yves Guillemot put out this email to the staff basically saying, like, hey, we need y'all best. He's basically saying, we're failing, and I need y'all to step y'all game up and be careful of y'all spending and be smart about y'all spending, right? That didn't go over well. The internet got on his case, and of course the employees got on his case like, yo, what you mean? We busting ourselves. Y'all need to manage us better. This type of thing, right? And so that didn't bode over well. Now, this news might not bode over well as well. And it appears that Ubisoft might be working on more Far Cry games, and one of them being Far Cry 7. So Insider Gaming had something, and they've spoken to their sources, and it says Insider Gaming sources have revealed that 2 new Far Cry games are in development at Ubisoft. One presumed to be Far Cry 7 as a single player experience, and the other to be a multiplayer only title. And y'all better believe that they're going to find a way to monetize the crap out of that, because, you know, Ubisoft, they're not going to learn. And I'm not wishing any demise of any company, but I know that if y'all don't turn stuff around, it might not bode well or whatever. You see EA don't turn stuff around, and we got Dead Space reviews, and we're going to talk about that. And I'm really interested in seeing what all of this is. And now it also says details on what both games entail are slim, but it's understood that the titles were intended to be one game at one point, but separated to become 2 separate projects early on in development. The game was believed to be known as Project Talisker under the helm of Dae until both games became their own separate entities after his departure to Blizzard Entertainment. Now, hey, I don't want anybody to get fired. I don't want any bad to come out. And hopefully Far Cry 7 is entirely different. And hopefully this multiplayer Far Cry game is entirely different. I mean, they could be talking about another VR experience. Like last year on my birthday, I was in Canada and I had a Far Cry VR experience, and it was absolutely fun. So this could be something completely unconsole related, or it could be console related. But man, I know I'm just sick of Far Cry, and these games by themselves have made me sick of Far Cry themselves. So I'm just really interested in seeing what's going on going forward. Alright, so those Dead Space reviews are in, and I'm excited. Let's talk about it. Sitting at a Metacritic of 89. That's actually very good. Simply for the fact that because it's coming out of EA, and it's a remake, and everybody knows how EA was with their history, and we've all been worried. Well, now there's no reason to worry, because there are 55 positive and 1 mixed, and that's possible that person is a hater. Anyway, Gaming Bolt gave it a 100, and it says Dead Space is one of the best survival horror games ever made. It takes a masterpiece of the game and allows its biggest strength to shine brighter than they ever have, while also improving upon it in meaningful ways with smart changes and additions. But then we can go to one of the lowest scores, and it says an excellent remake of a not quite classic survival horror that nevertheless makes a convincing argument for the continuation of the series. Yeah, that sounds like hate right there, because I'm not the biggest guy when it comes to horror. I know a lot of people are, but Dead Space is one of those games. Now, if you put me in to play a horror game, nah, but sci-fi, I'm definitely going to eventually play this. I'll probably wait for the price to go down, because it's not at the top of my list, because it's definitely in the backlog. I'm not going to front. I don't do very well with horror games, but maybe if I ever eventually get to it, I'm going to put out some coverage so y'all can hear your boy scream to see why I really don't mess with horror games. But anyway, Dead Space is great. A lot of people all over the internet is loving it, and some people are saying that even though it's a remake, you could actually make it Game of the Year. So I'm really interested, and I can't wait to hear all the scuttlebutt and everybody around me telling me how good this game is. Are you going to get it though? Let me know down in the comments below. And to wrap things up, would you want maybe another Uncharted game? Maybe a Last of Us game? Well, it does not appear that Naughty Dog wants to do either one of those games, as it appears that they are moving on. In a recent interview with BuzzFeed, Neil Druckmann gave us an idea as to what to expect in the future. And he said, Uncharted was insanely successful. Uncharted 4 was one of our best-selling games, and we're able to put our final brushstroke on that Sony and say that we're done, we're moving on. Likewise with The Last of Us. It's up to us whether we want to continue it or not. Our process is the same thing we did when we did part 2, which is if we can come up with a compelling story that has the universal message and statement about love, just like the first and second game did. Then we will tell that story. If we can't come up with something, we have a very strong ending with part 2, and that will be the end. So they're focusing on the multiplayer game, and they're going to make it a big deal where people can go in and co-op and experience the brutality of that world, and whatever they're doing, it might be some really big thing, and it might actually change. But I'm a huge fan of Uncharted. I'm a huge fan of The Last of Us. I'm sitting there in front of my TV, tuning in every Sunday. The Last of Us first game made The First of Us. That's funny. I like that. But the first game, when that big peak story happened, and for those who watch the game, who played the game and watched the show, that big thing that happens in episode 1 and maybe the first hour of the game, that made me cry, okay? And then the ending of the game made me cry because it was one of the most beautiful stories ever. And then I definitely enjoyed The Last of Us 2. Even though some people were finicky, they didn't like the villain, they didn't like this or whatever, I definitely loved it because I feel like in those types of worlds, you can't fall in love with certain characters. Certain things might happen and stuff like that. So I'm a huge fan of The Last of Us. I was so excited when part 2 came out. I was so freaking excited, over the moon when they announced the show, and the fact that I get to watch it every Sunday with Pedro Pascal, one of the hottest actors right now, who's also the Mandalorian and it was in Game of Thrones. The Last of Us is awesome. And if y'all can't give us the third game, that's fine. The second was enough. Maybe eventually y'all give it to us something. But we're going to play factions. We are definitely going to play factions because we love The Last of Us. So, let me know what you think about all this down in the comments below. Alright, y'all, that's a wrap for today. Thank y'all so much for joining me. Let me know what you think about everything down in the comments below. Whether it be the homie Kenny Omega showing up in Like a Dragon, The Last of Us, no Part 3 or Uncharted 5 happening, and Ubisoft making some more Far Cry games. So let me know what you think about everything down in the comments below. But if you're new here, hit that red subscribe button and then hit that notification bell so you know when your boy's posting. I post Monday to Friday at 9 a.m. And go ahead and hit that like button on your way out. And if you don't like what you heard, or you want to talk about anything, hit me down in the comments. Let's have a healthy dialogue. But thank you so much for watching. Enjoy y'all weekend. I'm going to play mad games. This video is finito.